Hi, I hope you guys are doing good today. I wanted to come on quickly to talk about, you may have an ex who's always angry, always yelling at you, always trying to belittle you, especially when it's done in front of the kids. They seem to get more of a rise out of it, when it's done when the kids are there watching, listening, and it is not something that you should put up with. It's not something that it should be tolerated by anyone. It's verbal abuse, and especially if it happens in front of the kids, a lot of women ask, is there anything that I can do about it? Am I just, resign myself to, climbing up on the cross and taking it, every time that I have to communicate with my ex or soon to be ex? What can I do? Okay. Um, Here's one idea and one thing that you can do to start to protect yourself, to start to put an end to this nonsense and something you should not have to suffer through. And should be not something that your kids witness either. It is not good for their emotional development, their emotional health. Okay, so let me just give you a good idea of how judges think about this, because you want to stay in that frame of mind. You want to be, in line with how the judge thinks, because that always strengthens your position, right? Okay, so let me just give you my experience of how judges treat this, how judges think about this, how they feel about this type of thing. Judges, pretty much no matter what state you're in, judges always want to act and figure out what is in the best interest of the kids. That's always on the first forefront of their minds. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to go to court to deal with this. As a matter of fact, I'm about to give you an out-of-court strategy or solution to deal with that, especially if they're, they have anger management issues, they're narcissistic, they're immature, and a lot of times they don't have the skill set to deal with conflict resolution, and so that's their default. They just start acting crazy and calling you names and all that business. You know the drill. Okay, so judges think about this. They always want to act in the best interest of the kids, and they'll say, okay, they'll start to listen to or hear certain things, certain buzzwords. Like, for example, when your ex is belittling you, if the kids are witnessing it, if they start crying, if they, how it affects the kids, if they start acting out, if their grades drop, all those things, start noting those things. Also, a lot of times they're so brazen about it, they're not thinking, they're just in that state of rage. A lot of times they will actually send you text messages and emails berating you, calling you names, accusing you of just utter nonsense. So save all of those text messages and emails. A lot of women ask me, how do I get text message from my phone to my computer? Because I always say, just start a whole new file folder on your computer just for this purpose. Just put all the nonsense that he's been doing, go ahead and put it in a folder so that you have it all in one place. And so a lot of women ask me, how do I get the text messages from my phone onto my computer? One way of doing it is, a lot of times if you have a smartphone, you can just go ahead and your text feature, you can also email yourself. So not only can you put in a telephone number, you can also put in an email address, and it should forward the text message to your computer, to whatever email address that you send it to. Another way of doing it, if that doesn't quite work, is that you can screenshot all of the text message, make sure you get all of it, and you can then send that picture to your computer. You can usually, when it asks you how you want to send the picture, one of the options usually is not only just text messaging, but also send it as an email. Also, if you have a smartphone and a Mac computer, you can also airdrop pictures, so you can get it to your computer that way. So, those are a couple of different ways that you can get that type of evidence. Also, a lot of times your ex would be so brazen that he'll leave voicemail messages. You can also forward voicemail messages of your ex acting crazy, saying all kind of craziness, talking out of his mouth, calling you out of your name, all that stuff, and save that onto your computer. And save that usually as a voicemail, or also a lot of times there's a feature on your smartphone called voice memos. You can also save it there. and figure out a way. A lot of times if you have whatever service you have, whether it's AT&T or Verizon, they can also go to the Verizon store and tell you how to forward those messages to your computer. So also know and use them as a resource. So those are the different ways that you can actually get information that you want to show, or you need from your phone onto your computer. Okay, so what you're doing with all that is document, document, document. You need to document how his behavior is, how it's affecting the kids. And sometimes too, if the kids start acting out, if the kids start, their grades drop, things like that. A lot of times, if you feel it's in their best interest, and it usually is, for them to go to counseling, that's another way to show how his behavior is affecting the kids. And so, you'll always have the notes. You'll always have, God forbid, if you do end up back in court, you may have to call that counselor as a witness, God forbid. But one of the out-of-court solutions that you could do is this. I had one young lady who had, by the time she printed out all the text messages and emails, and she also had it on her computer of all the voicemail messages, nasty voicemail messages that he left. And she started playing them one by one. And she also had a stack of emails and text messages that she printed out, probably about this thick. And she essentially said, this is what, if you don't stop this nonsense, if you don't stop treating me like this, if you don't need to talk to me, that's fine. We can do one of those co-parenting apps, and we don't need to talk to each other. They have scheduling features. They have messaging features. Unless it's an absolute emergency, I don't need to talk to you. And you can say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to make you pay for one of those apps if you don't stop being ridiculous and treating me like this and doing it in front of the kids. It is not good for their emotional development. It is not good for their emotional health. And I would send him at least a couple of text messages, and also would be a good idea too to send a letter, certified mail return receipt, saying that the effect that his behavior is having on the kids and also having on you, and the blatant disrespect, and you don't have to take it. And so you could do that in a very business-like. This is I know it's very emotional. This is someone you were married to. This is someone you have kids with. And it's probably the most unnatural thing, that you may have to do, but you have to think of it more as a business transaction. Just be very businesslike. Look, and always, as much as possible, use that term. This is not in our kids' best interest. It is damaging their emotional health. Keep using those terms so the judge knows, okay, it's not her just trying to get a vendetta against her ex. This really is affecting the kids. And so always try to use those terms and keep it in those terms. The next thing also is, so she printed out that, and she said, look, this is what the judge is going to see. It's going to cost you a whole lot of money, because I'm going to ask the judge that you pay my attorney's fees if I have to get one. You pay for counseling for the kids and for me. It's going to cost you time and money off your job having to go back and forth to court. Make it seem like it's going to be real uncomfortable, cost them a whole lot of money, and go through public embarrassment of having a hearing, because he doesn't know how to deal with his own stress. That's not your problem, it's his problem. And so that's one way, one out-of-court solution. I have a couple of other ideas to deal with that. That's one way that you can address it, and address it out of court without having to deal with an attorney. Always, always, always try to find an out-of-court solution to the things that you're going through. Because hey, who's got the money, right? Who's got the money to go through a whole big, drawn-out legal battle? Yeah, your kids are worth it, but let's try to save some money in your pocket. All right. So I hope that you find this helpful. It's one of the things that I teach on. I am your divorce recovery expert, and so a lot of people ask me, what makes you a divorce recovery expert? Well, yeah, for the obvious reason. For 13 years, I was a divorce attorney here in Texas. I'm also a certified advanced mediator. And so I use all that experience to help my ladies to get out-of-court solutions to the problems that they have with life after divorce. So I hope that you find that helpful. You can go to my website, moveonafterddivorce.com. to get more information. And if you're really struggling with this issue, or if you know of someone who's struggling with that issue, send them to my website. It's real easy to sign up to work with me. There's a button that says one-on-one. Just click on that button. It's real simple, real easy. I'd love to work with you and help my ladies reclaim their dignity, reclaim their lives, and just come back stronger than the setback. Thank you, ladies. I'll see you in the next video.